Monday.
You survived the weekend. Congratulations.
I was like, yay.
Yay.
We all lived.
You all seem to be in one piece. That's good. One piece.
Everyone's in one piece.
Everyone's in one piece.
Everyone's in one piece.
Finally, another woman character came around. and I get to
Yeah,
be
we're
in
ready.
it. God.
Please
Thank
stop
God,
us.
another lady kissed me when we had the chance. I have to work on my
Hey
man
everybody,
voice.
welcome to the panel Voice Acting in Video Games. Thanks for coming on a Monday. Is it just us or does this Monday seem a little weird? Yeah? the reluctant, yeah, I guess. All right, it's just me then. Okay, never mind. Alright, my name's Jacob Browning. I'll be the moderator for this panel. I've been in video games such as Smite, Tower 57, Streets of Red, and I'm co-directing an upcoming Visage game. And I'll have everybody else go around introduce themselves and tell you what video games they've been in.
Oh, look at me now. Hello? No, it's not on. Okay, that's okay. I can
Funny.
do that. Hi guys, I'm Dawn M. Bennett. I'm the voice of Lilac the Dragon Girl in Freedom Planet. Thank you. And I play a couple of skins in Smite, Celestial Isis and Mashiri Arachne. And I'm working on some other stuff I can't talk about yet, so yeah!
Thank you.
That's a hot one.
Hello. Hi. I'm Erica Harlacher. All right, video games specifically. I play An in Persona 5. Woo! I play Sadira in Killer Instinct. I'm in Fallout 4 as various characters, including some robot that you can have sex with. I don't know. Yeah. She's just like a brain in like a robot thing, and then apparently you can seduce her. I don't know. I'm in a bunch of JRPGs, Aisha and Atelier Aisha, some stuff I can't talk about yet, but yeah, cool. Woo.
Hello, I'm J. Michael Tatum, and my video game work, Sir Hammerlock in Borderlands 2. Thank you. I was like, what is that for one person? It's going to be a great panel, guys. I can feel it already. Mr. Foster in Killing Floor 2, a lot of twos. I'm like 16 characters in Smite now. It's like I'm just the Smite jukebox. Oh God, what else? There Julius Kresnik in Tales of Cilia 2, another 2. They just wait for the sequel to put me in everything. and a bunch of other little games and fun stuff. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Whitney Rogers, and I've unfortunately only done 2 voices in Smite because Tatum keeps taking them all. Rude!
Go home, I'll be playing your
Jeez. I was Ordo Solaris Amaterasu. There we go. I feel like I have to stutter my way through the title. And I was also Leona Genesis Jetpack Fighter in the Smite video games. But I've read so much from my younger siblings when they couldn't read that I feel like I've done everything in my youth. Like, but those are my only official ones.
Nice.
Is it? Oh, it is on. Sweet. Okay. Hey guys, I'm Rico Fajardo. I'm a few in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I am a bunch of characters in Smite as well as my comrades. I play Achilles. That's like the main one. And then a bunch of skins like Bass Drop Yanis, which is kind of like a poor man's Lucio. And like, he's like, boom, boom, boom. He's got he's really good though. And then some like Magma Dog creature. Yeah, Magma Dog. And then I also did a VR game where I was the protagonist. It's called The Stone. It was produced in China. Oh wait, weren't you in that?
What?
The Stone? Like it was like The Stone, that VR game?
Maybe?
Maybe not. Anyway, okay.
I thought it was.
Sometimes I hear. Anyway, it's okay. It's but yeah, various games. Thanks, guys.
I'll be in the sequel.
All right, thanks for the introductions. And to kind of do this panel, I'll ask a couple of broad questions about working in video games at first, kind of get the panel talking, and then after that we'll open it up to a Q&A for everybody in the panel. And of course, it's such a small room, so as always, you can step forward if you like to sit closer. I always think
There's a microphone on that chair.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you'll ask the questions at the microphone at the chair would be great, and yeah, sit wherever you're comfortable. There's a lot of room. So voice acting in video games is a little different. Usually working by yourself, you're just kind of doing kind of like a roll call on the script there, but you're doing a whole lot in a short amount of time. So just taking that specifically, what's your favorite part about voice acting characters in video games? Just like, because you're kind of doing a similar job for every single character. So like, what's the specific thing that's your favorite part?
Just getting to do prelay in general, and like it's your character, like versus anime dubbing where you usually have to follow the Japanese performance, and sometimes like Smite's a little bit different, but like with Freedom Planet, having the character animated to me is really neat. So that's what I like about it. Just being able to like really make it your own and not be limited to flaps, and getting to play with it. You can improv your lines and just the freedom of it.
Well, I have two microphones. Very exciting.
Be stereo.
I like video games because I actually really like the pace of video games. I mentioned this in a previous panel that video game recording is like really fast. You go through each line like super, super quick, and they kind of don't say anything unless they like don't like what you did, and otherwise you just like keep going down the list. And I like that. I feel like it's fun to kind of, I don't know, go lightning speed sometimes. And then for like a video game like Persona 5, I got to record that for a really, really long time because there's, I don't know if you guys know, but that's a really long game.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of talking that we did, and it was for months, like, you know, 3 to 5 days a week for months. And that's crazy. That's like the longest I've ever recorded for any project ever. And then, you know, now there's like spin-off games, dancing game we got to do, and that's coming out in December. And yeah, I like that I got to really get to know that character, and that hasn't happened for me on any other type of project, really. Yeah.
I love, I'm kind of, with Dawn there, I love the fact that with video games, often the atmosphere is very different. I mean, in my experience of doing video games, like the crowd, the director and the writers are all in the room, and they tend to just, they're kind of creating as they go. Like they have a rough idea and they have a script, but there's room for improv, and they frequently encourage you to improv, and it's really wonderful to be in the booth. And there's concept art sometimes, but you know it's subject to change, so you feel like your performance will shape the final product a little more than it might in other scenarios, because the writers are totally open to what you do, and they're like, oh yeah, or can be very open to what you do. So like, and it's just really fun, and sometimes it can work out to being more work for you. Like I've told the story before, I think, but when I first came in to perform Sir Hammerlock, he was a very small character. He was only in one scene. And he looked totally different, and they just liked what I did, and so Anthony Birch, the writer, was like, "This is so much fun. I really like this character now. I wasn't really sure what we were going to do with them, but now having heard you, I want to do this. Hey, let's add a line here. Let's add a line here," and that just grew into more and more hours to where they're like, "We're just going to make him a quest giver now." And so that doesn't really happen. Like in anime, that never happens because you're working with something that's already done, and so your character's fate is sealed. But with video games, there's a little more room. There's a feeling of you're kind of involved from the ground up, so you get to be you feel like a more crucial part of the end product than you sometimes do in other scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Well, aside from like obviously just death scenes that are fun to do because you don't often get to just scream and yell without people being mad at you afterwards, I like the freedom of getting to just not follow lip flaps. I haven't had too many opportunities to voice video game characters, but one in particular moment that I enjoyed. I'm a big fan of Carol Burnett and the Carol Burnett Show, and I always thought it was sweet that she would tug her ear to like let her grandmother know, like, I'm thinking about you, I'm happy to be here. And my family doesn't really understand anime. They come from East Texas, they don't know what that is, but they do understand video games a little bit more. So when you go through a bunch of like, okay, Whitney, I need like 20 ways to go agreeing sounds. So you're like, oh, and you do a bunch. And one of my friends had a very specific way. We would not tease them, but we would say it back to them. They'd go, and it was just very specific to me and my family, and no one else in the world is probably going to be like, that was wonderful. But I know when my friend plays it, they're going to go, Whitney thought about me. And so I like getting to put like little mini shout outs that are still appropriate. I'm not going to be like, let me do this one thing that's nothing to do with your game so I can shout out. But it was fun to get to do like little nods to people that care about me and help me get to where I'm at, that I know that they'll pick up. It's fun to get to leave little fun bombs for them.
Right, that's cool.
I think for character working with like a director or a writer in the room, because typically, yeah, it's really fun if you get a brand new video game character and like, okay, this is what we think this person is. They're saying words like that, and you kind of start to get the groove as the actor, like, oh, this is the kind of spirit of it, and so you start throwing out wild things like, oh yeah, like that, and so all of a sudden, a lot of the wild things you end up using get in the game. That's always exciting. But I think, particularly nowadays, as a gamer, the DLC life that we lead, right? We're like, I bought the game, cool, I got the game. You're like, nope, you don't have the game. You'll have it in 5 years when all the DLC comes out. But that is the kind of like marketing metric that happens now. The downloadable content, though, as an actor, is really exciting. Because sometimes your character, as Tatum was saying, will bloom into something that was one line, and all of a sudden now Sir Hammerlock has his whole Hammerlock's Hunt. He has his whole DLC. You're like, holy cow, that's awesome! And you get another chance to to continue to explore the character. Or in the case of Few in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, it like worked the other way, where Chris texted me when Few is the big bad in Dragon Ball Heroes, which is a game that's super old, I guess. I have never played it. Sorry, but it worked kind of the other way, where in the manga, since they're writing it now, Few is the main villain on the prison planet and brings Vegeta and Goku, and he's like taking all their energy. But when I dubbed it Xenoverse 2, it was just a character, a DLC character, and he takes energy. And I was like, okay, cool. And I took a swing at it, tried to populate it with as much life as I can, and then lo and behold, they're like, oh, by the way, there's a manga that like your character just becomes this big thing. I'm like, oh, wow. So kind of exciting.
Really cool.
Yeah. Wow.
I know my favorite personal experience when actually recording is the physicality of everything you have to do. So, like I said, they'll kind of roll call all the efforts you have to do. So it's always like, do a little hop. You're just like, huh, now you're doing a big jump. Huh, you're always just doing things. Like you're actually punching. You're actually punching. So you gotta go. You gotta do all that. And all right, now you're swinging a sword. You're swinging a battle axe, and you gotta mime or grab the nearest thing that's not gonna knock over all the equipment and actually swing. And I just, you get your vocal workout no matter what you're doing, but I like having that physical workout as well, because I think it adds a lot to the performance. However, that segues into probably the least favorite thing about video games, and I think we all can kind of agree on this, but it's just the constant screaming you have to do. Here's your battle cry, here's you screaming somebody's name, here's you screaming for death, and you just like, I want a short one, I want a big one, I want all the kind of deaths. I mean, is that everyone's kind of least favorite part, or do we have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, video games are the only time I've ever come close to like blowing out my voice. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh no, I need that to work.
Yeah, because there's so much fighting in video games that there's a lot more intensive vocal reactions, and they want a bunch of options for each type of reaction.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like Jacob was saying, they don't just want a death, they want 10. Because, the character may kill you with the bow and arrow, so how does that sound? You're like, and it's kind of interesting and weird, but like it is a vocal workout that you usually have to be careful and know, like, do I have anything I have to record for the next 2 days? Because I won't be able to do it. Which is, can lead to issues, but man, I love the characters that don't have to fight. Like, I love the characters whose job it is
Pacifists,
just the pacifist.
which in any game, of
Say
course,
stuff.
rarely
This
exists,
is
unless
nice.
you're in like
This is
Animal Crossing
easy
or
on the
something.
voice. I could do this
Let's
all
grow
day.
things. Would you like some carrots?
That's Rune Factory. You grow the carrots and then you fight.
Yeah, and the physicality of it can really get to you after a while too. I mean, you can walk out of that booth having burned like 1,000 calories just in an hour, going, "What the hell did I do?"
So sweaty.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever said a voice where like you do some kind of monster creature and then you got to scream as the monster creature? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Where it's
yeah,
set a
yeah.
little bit in like a more growly place. You're like, oh God, now I have to go to this other.
Yeah, you're like, okay, they're like, let's do the voice, and you do a line as in like this voice, and you're like, oh, that's cool, I like that voice, we're gonna do that. Now, cool. Now we're like 3 pages into the script, we have a lot of screaming to do, and you're like, oh God, okay. So it's like gargling razor blades after a while, and like your ENT is like, what did you do?
I'm working.
I couldn't afford to go to you, Auntie.
So another question is, if any of you guys do actually play the games you're in or watch Let's Plays of other people playing it, like how do you feel the actual people, yourself or other people taking that persona, like an avatar that you're actually voicing, they're playing as you?
Persona? No. Yeah, I like it. The first time I got to voice a playable character was Aisha in Atelier Aisha. And I like brought that to my parents' house and was like, look, you can like make me jump. And I like went over and just like jumped for like a few minutes. And they were like, that's nice. Do you say anything? And I was like, I'm saying, huh, huh, huh. And then, yeah, I thought it was cool.
It's hard. I can't. Like I much prefer someone else play me than I can't play a video game.
Right.
Like even Borderlands 2, he's not a playable character, but he talks to you constantly, and I'm really bad at it, so I'd have to do the same level over and over again. And I would hear myself going, "No, come on, you've got this." I'm like, "Shut up, me! I know. You've said this 1,000 times." That's hard.
Oh,
That's hard.
Yeah, I played a character like that, and I like rage quit after like an hour. And that was like the first video game I got where I was like a significant character, and she wasn't playable, but she was basically the Navi of the game.
Oh.
And and oh my God, I was so annoying the whole time. And it was a shooter, and I'm bad at shooters, so I in the game kept being like, you have to go over here and shoot these aliens, and I was like, I know, I can't do it. So I like, threw the controller and just never continued. It's annoying.
I will say though, like it's awesome to watch Let's Players play the games that you're in, because like you know certain things are coming up, and then you just see their reaction to it. And like I've seen like Let's Players playing Freedom Planet. Like do you guys know Best Friends Play at all? Yeah. So they played Freedom Planet, and like they beat one of the bosses with like a sliver of health left, and like. Wooly and I forgot the other guy's name. Wooly and Liam, I think. They both went, oh, like just screaming about it. And like, I don't know. I like seeing Let's Players' excitement over the games that we're in and like our performances. It's really cool.
I tried to unlock Few in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I downloaded it and bought the thing, which is weird. I'm like, I'm buying my thing. Let me find me. It's super hard to unlock him. I have to play the game a lot to unlock him. I'm like, oh my God, I'm level 1. I need to be like super high level in order to get my guy. So I haven't even played my own character, sadly. It's fun when people do play. I watch Let's Plays of like Achilles on Smite because he's like a DPS character. He ganks people. He does a lot of damage. Total glass cannon. So they're like, this character needs to get nerfed, and I really enjoy that because I like playing characters that just wreck house. And so like I'm like, oh, Achilles is too strong, and you hear me, cockily, and you're just saying like, oh yes, it looks like you've fallen again. You haven't found my heel, have you? And sort of like thing, and just impaling everyone. It's really great. But in Borderlands 2, walking around doing Hammerlock's Hunt, which I was a quest giver in there, and I'm rolling. I think, was it Rob McCollum's character, the commando, where you can drop turrets and stuff. And then I was playing with a friend who was, oh, thanks. It's me! Thank you. My friend was playing a friend of ours, Martha Harms, who plays the Siren character. I was playing Rob McCollum's character, who was the commando, and then we're talking to my quest giver, and it's like, really weird. Like Martha going, and then Rob's like, come on.
No way!
Yeah.
Why is my sign so gigantic? Is that a comment on
yes.
my
I love
height?
the rest of
I'm impressed
It's like a
by
billboard,
the.
like with lights.
Don't act like you're not impressed. Oh no.
It also doesn't stand up very well. I just want to comment. It's like me. It's like me on a Saturday.
I've never got to play as my characters because I can't unlock them very well, and I'm not good at games, but I do have other jobs. This isn't how I make all my money. And one day I was modeling for an art class in Dallas, and I was recognized for my voice, and I was sitting there. I'm not even facing this girl, and she's behind me, and I hear, excuse me, are you Ordo Solaris Amaterasu? And I'm like, yeah, yes. Like, I can't even see them, like, maybe? And it was such, like, this is a slightly off the topic, but, because I hadn't played it, but this girl, her boyfriend was such a jerk to her, apparently. She had just dumped him. He had made her, like, sit, and he wouldn't pay attention to her, and he would only hang out with her if she sat and played Smite with him. And so she's heard my voice so many times as Ordo Solaris that she recognized me when I was just like, hi, I'm here to model, I'm talking. And then she told me, I was like, this is so great. I'm gonna go message him and be like, ha, loser, I got to meet the 2 favorite games that you do, and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, yeah, you go get your revenge, girl. You do it. So I didn't get to play myself, but I'm like, yeah, you get revenge, lady, do it. So
Thank God she didn't take it the other way and be like, homewrecker!
I know, right? Thank God. I was kind of afraid that was going to be it, and that's the one that I use my natural speaking voice for, so I feel really uncomfortable because it's like, oh, it's me. It's not like I'm pretending. It's like, do you really want that? It's my natural voice, and it was exciting. Yeah, revenge.
I had an experience, sorry, this makes me think of a story. So the first time I was going into Canada for a convention, and I was going through customs in the airport, and I wrote down on a little customs card, like, voice actor, and the guy that, my customs agent was like, oh, voice actor, anything I would know you from? Which is always an impossible question. I'm like, I don't know what you want.
Or if they watch it, they hate it.
Yeah,
You're
they're like,
okay, sorry.
yeah. And but he was, he was young, and he kind of struck me as a gamer type. I'm like, you video gamer? He's like, oh yeah, all the time, everything. I love everything. I'm like, oh well, Borderlands 2, which was newly out, and he was like, and he kind of lit up. He was like, oh really, you're in Borderlands 2? That's super awesome. Who are you in Borderlands 2, man? And I was like, I'm Sir Hammerlock, and he was like, dude, that's so cool. That's awesome. Do the voice.
Oh no.
He like had like the stamp like hovering over him, like do the voice, and I'm like, you really want me to do the voice? He's
Right
like,
in line.
yeah. And then so I'm like, oh, this is real. This is like customs like not believing me. So I had to be like, hello, Vault Hunter. Things need to be shortened by Jove. You're the one to shoot them. And he's like, and I was like, that was the weirdest entry into another country I've ever had. But thank you, Sir Hammerlock.
The first time I heard or I saw a Let's Player play a game I was in was that one where I was the annoying Navi character, and my boyfriend like sent me a link with just ha 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 ha, and then so I like clicked on the video, and about 2 minutes in, the guy who was playing, I had been talking nonstop as he was trying to play this game, and he goes, God, this bitch just won't shut up. And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. That's me. So that was my first time I knew anyone had played a game I was in. That was cool.
All right, I think we'll open it up to Q&A, and yeah, I was about to say, since we have the microphone, would it be best to just form a line? Yeah, just kind of down the middle.
You gotta stand up.
Come on over. It's a nice Monday. Get some exercise. Stand up, bump up.
Well, hello again.
Hello.
Hello.
By the way, I just want to say sorry about that steamroller thing yesterday. I was under pressure and I didn't know what to say. So
I handled it like a professional, so it's cool.
okay.
I love the pun. Did you catch it? He was like, sorry about the steamroller thing. I was under pressure.
Honestly, completely unintentional.
Just it's instinct, man. You're
Okay.
talented.
Well, thank you. Anyway, my question is, so you've worked on a lot of like very varied projects. Which one do you think you like either connected to most or had the most fun with? What was like, I'm trying to avoid saying favorite. What what project like do you think you connected with the most or had the most fun with?
Let's go down the road.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm actually a big retro gamer fan, so I did like a 16 kind of beat 'em up game, 16-bit beat 'em up game, which was like expressively like from the 90s, which was not very good, like voice acting wise back in that day when you play those games. Like my favorite is the like X-Men game, the X-Men arcade game where you like Magneto's like, X-Men, welcome to die. Like it doesn't make any sense and it's like overacted and everything.
Badass, dude.
Yeah.
Nothing hurts the nothing hurts.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
very repetitive. Yeah, it's stuff like that. So I did a 16 beat 'em up, which was originally released as Devil's Dare, re-released for the Switch as Streets of Red. So I play this gruff axe, and later he's a shovel wielding guy, but it's very repetitive. It has those small little snippets. So he always go like he has a move. It's called like I don't know, something thunder, like big thunder. So he'll go big thunder, big thunder, and he's picking something like He's all these repetitive stuff, and they're small and they're cheesy and they're overacted and they're very larger than life. So I just had a lot of fun performing all those lines myself.
I announced another character recently in BattleCon Online. Her name's Iria Landrade Amarella. Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast. But she had 3 forms. She has a magical girl form, a knight form, and then this big cosmic form, which is a tentacle monster. So like, I got to be like, my name is Iria Landrade Amarella, at your service. And then I'm a knight, don't fight me. And then just like this,
"You foolish humans." And I recorded that like really recently, and I thought, this is so cool because it's like it's all one character, but I get to be like these 3 different personas. Yeah, I'm sorry. But I had so much fun with it. It wore my voice out a lot at the end of it because I recorded all 3 of those personas in one day. But yeah, I think that's the one that I had like recently the most fun with, is just being able to play this character with 3 different facets to her personality.
Well, I hate to keep bringing up personas, but I mean that's like clearly out of video games my like top thing I've connected to, because like I said, we recorded for so long, like gajillions of hours, and like that game has such a deep story, so like we really got into the character and their relationships, and I feel like I just related to on like a lot of different levels. I mean, just like superficial levels, like she's tall, and I was like, cool, a tall character, that's like me. And she goes through a lot of stuff that I could kind of connect to, and yeah, it was just, I don't know, I really got to know. Also, I used kind of my regular voice for her, which is another just like, it just felt like I was kind of being kind of true to myself a lot of the time for her. And yeah, she's really cool. I don't know, I want to play her forever, so I'm like, yeah, keep coming up with spin-off games. More, please.
Sir Hammerlock is a lot of fun just because he gets to be so over the top and ridiculous, and they let me do anything. Like, it's gotten to the point now where, like, you know this guy, like, what would he, like, how would he say this? And it's really nice to have, like, directors go, yep, that's a take, like, first take stuff, which is just, that's a cool place to be. But as much fun as he is, one of the more validating experiences I've had in the booth doing video games was Killing Floor 2, because I got to play Mr. Foster, who in the first game did not have a voice. There was no voice acting in the first game. It was all, like, it was just voiceless. But then they decided to do a different format for the second game, and so they needed a voice actor, and I got the part, and they wanted to give him a very specific, like a rigorously specific British accent, like from a specific part of the country, which is really weird, and I just happened to be pretty good at it. But it also happened to be the actual accent of the person directing me. So there was a lot of we'd be talking. He's like, oh no, you said that wrong. You need to move a little more north to Sussex. And I'm like, okay. It was, it was like it was like a geography lesson. He was like, no, so right now you're in Manchester. You need to go just north a little bit, and then, yeah, it's more like Tar, not Tar, but Tar. And I'm like, oh, all right, you all sound the same to us. and we laughed, but it was really cool because by the end of it, he was like, he was this older gentleman. He's like, yeah, no, your accent's real good, it's real spot on. And I'm like. It's really validating. I suppose he's a cool character too, but just getting to do an accent that the person actually that's directing you has that accent, and you're like, am I doing it okay? And they're like, yeah, no, you're really good at this. I'm like, I hope so. Thank you. Yeah. I just copied this. Well, you say the line. Okay, I'm gonna do that.
The one I related to the most was probably Leona Genesis' Jetpack Fighter, and I enjoy listening to myself when I don't use my natural speaking voice, because I feel like that means I'm not trying hard enough, but I really liked her because she said these things that like were exactly a Whitney thing to say, like money, ice cream, profit. Just like she talked about like food a lot, and I'm just like, you get me, because that's all I talk about at home is like, can we get some ice cream? Whitney, you just had a 4-course meal. Yeah, but I'm not full of ice cream. Like that is a true quote from like my 4-year-old self. I made that argument to my parents. So Leona Genesis Jetpack Fighter is my favorite because she says all the things that I want to say, like ice cream stuff.
I forgot I did an uncredited project for Sony a year and a half ago because it was a big old NDA thing. I think it's out now. If it's not, sorry. But it's, yeah, it was this kind of neck piece thing that gave you like surround sound around you like this. And they had a pilot game where I played a dog in the city of San Francisco. And if you're in San Francisco, you downloaded the app and my character would show up like a ghost dog, kind of like Zero, and would guide you around. So it'd be like, it's like, hey, human, can you see me? Blah, blah, blah. And so you have to like look, and it would know where you're looking, right? And so it'd be like, you can't see me. Throw the ball. And it can sense when you move your body in different things. And so like, you'll hear me, I'll be like, it's like, I got the ball, and I'm like, you're the best human ever, blah, blah, blah. That role, I remember, so I guide you around San Francisco. When you go by certain places, I can be like, oh yeah, this is a really good donut shop. My human used to take me here and do this and that, and blah, blah, blah. It's really great. But as you go through the journey through San Francisco, if you actually play with the dog and don't dismiss me, you start to learn that I actually am a ghost dog. That I like had an owner and I died.
This is gonna make me cry.
Yeah, and so you find out, it's like, I love this park, and like, used to take me here all the time. My owner was like a little, like, and you find out the owner was like, I was a service dog, which you find out, you kind of intuit it. It's actually a really beautiful story, and as I was doing it, like, the crescendo moment was, we go by the vet. If you go by the vet in San Francisco, I go, like, I don't like this place, can we leave? And if you go closer, it's like, okay, do you want to hear my story? And then you can say no, it's like, I don't want to talk about it either. And then it's like, you say yes, you nod yes, it's like, okay, well, and I proceed to tell you the story of how my owner had to take me in because I was sick. And
When you're getting goosebumps.
Rico's making me cry.
yeah, I forgot about that project, but it was one of those moments where I was like, I don't know if this is gonna see the light of day, but it was a really sweet interactive story where I got to like, I didn't know. Well, in the text, it's okay. You look at the role and it's like you're a dog and you're having fun and you're trying to, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're making it real. Like as toward the end of the session, I'm getting ready to fly back to Dallas. Like, oh, we only have like a few more cues, but today I was like, oh, five or six cues for whatever this last location, piece of cake. It was the vet clinic. It was where my owner did like therapy, like her therapy, where I'm like, I wait for her every day out here, blah, blah, blah. Her name was Sarah, da, da, da. Oh my God. No! Yeah. It was, but anyway, yeah, so that one I connected to a lot.
Jesus.
Dogs are so much better than people.
Pure hearts. Pure hearts.
That was a beautiful story, Rico. Thanks for taking the room down. Somebody throw a pie.
I forgot about it until the question was asked. I totally forgot.
That makes me think of like
But
that
it's-
one episode of Futurama. with
Don't
the
you
dog.
dare.
Sorry.
Listen.
Sorry.
Tell me
But
when
guys,
it's over.
if any of you,
It's
if any of you
not.
guys are in San Francisco and you actually, I don't know what it's a Sony neck piece. I've never played the game. I don't know if it even is out there, but if it is, that's what, I'm that. I'm the dog.
Oh, gosh, that's so sweet,
beautiful.
but I hate you at the same time.
How dare you make me feel something? It's not what I signed on for.
Right? I don't want to feel things.
The next question?
You're so high energy.
Cool
for a
pose.
Monday.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So, have any of you ever done a bomb while recording?
Yes. Wait, for video games?
For video games, yeah.
I have not for video games. Next question.
We should explain what a bomb is for those of you that don't know. Like, it's not like a
Explode in the
literal bomb.
studio.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, and we throw a grenade in. No, it's where you leave a line that's not the line written for whoever's going to record after you, because it'll be in their pre-roll, and it's usually a line directed at them.
I don't
Like-
think you really can bomb someone because
can't
it's
really.
your, it's your own
yeah.
stuff.
So sadly, no, because you
They
don't know what
play
the
any of
lines.
the other.
I mean, you might leave
Can
it
I ask
for a
something else
writer or
then?
something, but like, that's kind of weird.
Sure.
Sadly.
What's the other question?
Okay, so is there a video game series that you would love to voice in?
Pokemon.
Well, I'll be in Street Fighter. That'd be dope.
Yeah, they don't have voice acting, but maybe someday they will.
I don't know if Legend of Zelda would feel the same with voices, but it's Majora's Mask is my favorite, and I love to imitate the and the things like that, like the people. I would always make sure that I'd do their sounds, and it would just be fun.
Zelda
so,
is doing more voices though.
Yeah.
right?
for
I would
Zelda.
love to.
Like,
I would.
I think
I
Zelda
would
was
pay
fully
them.
voiced last game.
What's your favorite Zelda? What's your favorite Majora's Mask sound?
Oh man. Okay. Well, let's see.
Majora's Mask is the best one.
Oh ho ho ho. Like, you know that thing. Oh ho ho. ho.
I like when in Ocarina when Link falls down, so he goes,
Oh
and then he
my
has to
gosh.
climb up. So he's like, yeah, like, one-handed. That's crazy arm strength. Anyway, sorry.
I'd love to be in the Kingdom Hearts franchise.
Oh my god, I can't believe I didn't even think of that right this second.
Especially like my dream.
Kingdom
My
Hearts
dream is for them
coming
to
out
like
in
let Shere Khan
2025.
be one of the villains and just let me do it because I really want to be Shere Khan. He's like my favorite villain voice, the male
yeah.
villain. All the best villains are female, but
Yeah. I don't want.
Like
I
Cruella
changed my
Maleficent.
answer. It's
Oh,
Kingdom
sorry.
Hearts or Final Fantasy because then maybe they'd like put that character
Yeah.
in Kingdom
yeah.
I would also say Final Fantasy, but specifically, like, I'd want to be a bad guy, like a bad Final Fantasy character.
It's fun to be bad.
Kingdom Hearts, I would want to be in the organization if they added more.
Organization 25.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Either that or Spyro, if they make more.
Like you said it so humbly. Yeah, you love Spyro.
I love
Don loves
Spyro.
guys.
Oh my God, Castlevania! Like I would Castlevania,
Alucard.
right?
Season 2 out yet?
All the games. We're actually doing
Yeah.
the work.
Need to watch that
All
Castlevania
games,
season
all
2.
of them.
Yeah. Next question.
Hello.
First off, Rico, thanks for breaking our hearts.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Rico. Appreciate
So-
that.
All part of the job.
I guess they gave me an idea for a question though. I guess Erica doesn't have to answer because I actually asked her a couple of days ago. But what's your favorite shenanigans with your pets?
Favorite shenanigans with our pets?
I like to sing while I open cans of tuna because my cat does not appreciate my voice, and that makes her just completely ignore the can sound. Or the drawer for catnip. She knows the sound difference between the drawer for silverware and the drawer for catnip, so I just like making sounds that she doesn't like, so I avoid her.
I like to take red laser, and I point it at the roof, and you know sometimes the cat will be like, chirp, 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 they make a little like meow sound, and then I'll come up and I will grab the laser, and I'll be like, I got it. My cat's like, you're a fucking god. How did you do it? And they're like, I love it. Red laser.
My dog, I have a French bulldog, and he's super, super lazy, and he's not very vocal, but he emotes by snorting. So you can tell he's excited because he's like, and that's just, and yeah, it totally changes pitch. It's adorable, but like he's not a morning dog either. He wants to sleep all day, and we have to take him out. So my favorite thing is to just kind of take him and like turn him over, because you can also flip him around because he's like, whatever. I weigh that, his weight is pretty evenly distributed, so he's happy whatever position he's in. But it's fun to like, he's almost like one of those little moo boxes. It's like, like when he's like that. I'm like, hey Genji, come here. He's like. It's like a rain stick. Like it's fun to just move my dog around. He's like so pliable because he's like, I don't care, whatever. It's like he's more like a throw pillow than a dog. It's like a snoring throw pillow.
I mean, I have so many things I do with my dog. I'll give a different answer than I gave you before. And I just discovered this last week, and it was the best thing ever. So I've been watching like some documentaries like on YouTube on my phone recently, and I noticed that whenever like an old woman would talk, my dog would like suddenly be like, oh, so interested, and like tilting his head back and forth. So I was like, it's weird. So I paused a video when he was doing that, and I was like, hello, Gus, what are you doing? You're interested in old ladies? And he like, I got really happy, and he was like, oh my God, you're an old person. And then he like came up and started licking me, and I was like, all right, cool. So you like old people? Interesting. You'll never be with one because your lifespan's much shorter than mine. But yeah, that was a fun discovery.
Who's dark now?
Keeping it real.
Now I do old lady voices to him when I need him to pay attention to me.
I have a surefire way to find my cats in my house because cats, they like to hide. I have 3 cats: Frosh, Buko, and Beeper. Frosh, if I sing, she'll come out of hiding. Beeper, if I whistle, she'll come out of hiding. Buko, if I yell really loud, she'll come out of hiding. But the other thing that I like to is just like playing videos of kittens on my laptop. And I even took a video of this. My little one, Frosh, she started like nudging the computer and then like pushing it forward, and then she like put her paw underneath the laptop to try and like lift it, and then she just looked at me very distressed. She's just like, meow. I'm like, it's okay, honey. But yeah, singing to my cats, I do it.
I had a dog from my childhood that I used to wrestle with. He was a black lab pit bull, very strong dog. But now I don't have a pet, but my roommate does. She has this very fat Maine Coon called Not Willie. That is the full name, Not Willie. And he's so needy. I didn't think cats were needy. I thought they would hide away and leave me alone. No, this cat will never leave me alone. And all it wants is love. And like, I'm not a big cat person, so like, I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do with this cat, especially being around dogs so long. So, so the cat will come up to me and it was just like, meow, I want love. And I'm like, fine, you want love, you're getting love. So then I'll start wrestling with it. And it's like, I want it. And I'm just like, kind of lightly just like tapping it around, like, let's play. And it's like, it's like running around, shut up, chasing it. And so I'm not really a cat person, don't know how to handle them. That's how that happens.
Not Willie's trying to make you a cat person.
Never.
Well, he just gave us.
Oh, okay.
All right, come on up. Next question.
The doormats.
Cool.
Staying on topic about voice acting in video games, compared to other mediums of acting that you've been in, how stressful is it in comparison to, say, something like anime or other voiceover work, working in video games where you sometimes have to stress a bit more and the takes are a bit longer and you have to do several different takes for several different noises?
Can I say? I'll
Yeah,
say,
start, go
yeah.
ahead.
So what, like Tatum was saying earlier, it can be very aggressively to your vocal cords, just with the amount of screaming you have to do. I guess when I heard when you said stress, I thought of like auditions for some reason for video games. Because as a gamer, I think about, you know, is this a voice I want to hear 9,000 times in a row? You know, walking up a hill, or like, you know, what are you buying? What are you selling? Or like, you know, these kinds of, you know, or you don't want to be the Jill Sandwich, you know, you don't want, you know, Wesker. You can't, you know, pray that you aren't that. But, you know, I think actually didn't, oh, well, anyway, side story. All that being said, I think it's super stressful in regards to video games. I just as personal story, I had a callback for League of Legends, and it was a long session that just tapped me. I was drenched after trying to, like, sweating through my shirt as the directors just gave me all these different takes, trying to really, like, finesse that voice a certain way. A ton of reacts, you know, and asking you to, like, just wring your heart out with all these death scenes, because particularly with all those MOBAs, you have, like, characters have different relationships with different people. So it's like, that's your best friend dying, that's your wife dying, that's this person. So it's like you're trying to, as an actor, make these very specific sort of, like, moments in one line where you're like, you know, no, not you, my best friend, you know, I'm like, my wife, you know, like, in what state you're in. And like, okay, now do that 30 times. You're like, fill up your heart meter and just wring it out again. So that's, I think, the difficulty of that.
My stress comes from the auditions. Like, I've only worked with Smite twice, and this isn't a criticism of Smite. They are much better than me. But I feel like when I audition, I get a certain description, and I'm like, okay, here's the thing, and I did it for you. And then they're like, great, I love it. And you come in, and then they're like, all right, here's your character. And then they give me, like, a completely different character description. And I'm like, you did mean to email me, right? Like, I'm the right person? And then it's, again, not a criticism, just something, I'm a perfectionist, I'm a people pleaser, and I get up in my own head, so I have to calm myself down. But a lot of times the person who, like, designed the skin may be in on Skype and, like, kind of giving some input, and they're not necessarily using director words, they're just going, give me more of something else. And you're like, okay, and you're paying me so much money to be here, I'm trying so hard, I'm so sorry. So my stress comes from me just being like, Whitney, calm the hell down, they hired you for a reason, it's cool. So that's where my stress comes from.
Yeah, I would piggyback off of that to say sometimes with, and it's not just video games, but it's happened in my experience more with video games than any other kind of medium, is that usually the people that are responsible for making the decision on whether that line reads good or not aren't necessarily directors. They may be like character designers or writers, but directing, so as an actor, you're kind of hired and you're expected to sort of direct yourself. Which is not to say that you're like, you know, you have to kind of go, they're like, hey, yeah, just give us whatever you got, which is a weird direction, because when you look at the script for a video game, it's not, we talked about this yesterday, it's not in a narrative format, it's just all of your lines and no one else's, and it's all in a row, like Rico said, you have to jump from, okay, now someone's dying, and now you're dying, and now this is, and just one after the other, so you look all of it, and you're like, I don't know what the context is for any of these lines, and sometimes the person that's directing you can give you that context, and sometimes they don't have the luxury because they're like, well, I'm not really sure, just give me some options just in case it's this or that line, you know, it depends on the pecking order of whoever's recording you that day. They may be intimately related to the material creation, and they may just be some intern that they have on Skype with you going, yeah, they wanted you to sound big.
And for them to hand you that ball as an actor, you know, usually it's that I don't know if you guys have been attending the other panels, we've been talking a lot about director-actor relationship. You know, the actor's like, feed me, tell me where this thing is. And if you're going in blind, like, they punted to you, you're like, you got the ball and you have no one's guarding for you, you're like, good luck. I hope you do good, because your work's going to be...
Yeah, because it's going to be out there
forever to see you.
And there's nothing quite... I mean, not to say that... I mean, all actors kind of crave director validation, because that's the benchmark. Okay, cool, we can move on now, because that director's happy.
We wouldn't be actors if we didn't crave validation.
Right. But it's weird, like, nothing is quite as disheartening as when you're in a video game session and the director goes, yeah, I guess that works. Yeah. We can move on. I'm like, oh, but I could do better, you know, and you have to turn your actor brain off. They go, no, I can give you song and dance, all of it, you know.
Whatever you need.
So that's sometimes the stress with video games, because it's such a breakneck business, and you're being paid really good money, too. They kind of expect you to be your own director 9 times out of 10.
Very wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's kind of what the business for video games are.
Ooh, it does make you feel like a professional, but in a very different sense than...
I'm a professional.
Like, I did everything. But yeah, it's that can be really stressful.
Yeah, lack of context. That's my answer too. And I don't know if this happened. I'm sure this happens on things that aren't video games, but this has only happened to me on video games. Is sometimes they'll like, the engineer will come in at the beginning of the session and like set up a laptop in front of me and be like, oh, we're gonna have Skype with the clients and they're gonna see your face. I don't know why, if they're like, I'm fine if they're there in person, but then for some reason, like being on like video chat while I'm recording, I'm like, this is really awkward all of a sudden. So I'm just gonna pretend I don't see that laptop right there, and yeah.
Or when there's lag.
Yeah.
Oh, the delay is maddening.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
You give a take, you're like, die! And then they're just looking at you and you're like, okay, maybe I should try again.
Yeah.
All right, so you get ready to load again. You're like, they're like, that was great. Like, and they're like, wait, were you gonna go again? Yeah, really awkward date.
Yeah.
Awkward date.
Anytime they say they're Skyping in, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say self-directing your auditions.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
My poor boyfriend is always like, please tell me I'm great, please.
Because like most of the auditions that I get for video games are sent through my email, so like I just have to record it at home. And I know other actors have told me like, oh, spend no more than 15 minutes on those, because if you spend any more than that, you're just going to be stuck there wondering, could I have done this differently? Could I have done this better? Oh, let me try that again. And then you're just going to be working on the same audition for like an hour or two. So
I need to like tattoo that on my body, like for
Yeah.
real, like my forehead. Every time I look in the mirror, that's my biggest thing as an actor is just, Whitney, calm down. One take is fine.
yeah, or like I know there's you can also do like multiple takes, but just do 3 and that's it. Cut it off, send it in, because you're not a mind reader. You don't know what the director wants, and who knows, what you first gave might have been it. Just like have more faith in yourself when you audition and be confident about it.
This is so interesting that this is specifically for video games for you, because I understand that you guys, like for anime, usually go in to audition for stuff.
but we're directed.
Right, yeah, but like in LA, no, we don't go in. Everything's through email, so unless I specifically ask, and yeah, so that's so interesting.
It's that LA traffic, dude. You can't make it. You can't get to the studio.
I self-direct everything, and I'm like, bye.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. And yeah, we'll try to get the last 2 questions answered.
So what's the most outside of your like natural speaking voice that you've had to record for a video game?
The most outside of our natural speaking voice for a video game that you've had to use.
I guess, okay.
I haven't had too many video game roles, so it would just be Leona Genesis. I have a very deep speaking voice. I've been mistaken for a man on a few times on the phone. Not gonna lie, that's definitely happened. So,
anything where I get to speak higher than this or even more is just very different for me.
Yeah, lighter is pretty hard for me. Like trying to pitch it up and do things like that, like even higher. And I haven't booked anything yet, so one day. But I would say out of my natural voice is when going the deep booming like Dragon Hunter sort of thing. It's away from one of my natural pitches, but like when I force it down super low and fucking effing stab that dragon.
Oh my god!
All right, that's my pre-roll. That's what I do to kind of get ready. But boop, and stab that dragon in the face, kind of thing, So that's, I would say, out of my normal range.
Every voice I've done for Smite is not my normal voice. Like, every single one of those. Like, let's see all the things I can do with my voice that isn't how I actually talk. Everything.
I guess the most different is when I've played like animal companions in video games. Like I played a little fox thing once. I don't think it's out yet. I don't know, but is doing high-pitched fox sounds. That's not my normal voice. So
Fox sounds are cute.
fox sounds.
I love fox sounds.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
Like what I was saying earlier, that like tentacle monster that I had to record for BattleCon online, because it's a tentacle monster, so I had to make like Cthulhu like slurping noises. Yeah, because like when I first read the cue, like we didn't know what she looked like it was on the Wikipedia, but I didn't know, and so I'm like, slurping noise, and my director Amanda was like, I'll look it up, and I go, it's a tentacle monster. And she looks and she's like, how did you know? I'm like, I've done anime. But yeah, and it's like very gravelly and like textury. So yeah, that's the most different I've done.
I would agree with that, like doing monsters, but they use voice actors for their time, and they'll try to save kind of their money by using voice actors as much as they can. So like when you play creatures or monsters, you're probably going to play a lot of monsters and creatures, and so you have to get different voices to each one, and there's different sounds with each one, and especially the ones that don't talk, the ones that are like that just make sounds or are gibberish. You know, and the gibberish ones are they're my favorite, but they're the most hard and difficult to do. So it'd be like, oh yeah, you're this big slobbering monster, you know, and you're like, okay, now you're this like little like scrunchy little pissed off monster. You go, it's like you don't know. You're just like making all these weird sounds. You're like, yeah, but give it emotion. You're mad, but now you're sad. You're just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I didn't even think about creature sounds. I'm the Kraken in Age of Empires, guys. I just made like Zerg sounds from StarCraft. They're like, that's awesome. Like, that's Hydralisk. Anyway.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Thank you.
Right. Yay, last question. We made it.
We did.
So this one may or may not be a doozy, but I am curious about the moment that you each individually all realized I made it. I'm a voice actor, and how that felt and your experience.
I'll answer
I'm still waiting for that moment.
Yes, agreed.
Me too.
Agreed.
Mine's like getting to this con. It's like people are paying to see me, sort of.
Yeah.
Guys, I still struggle with it on a daily basis.
I've been doing this for 15 years, and I will have days where I go in the booth and I'm like, yeah, I've made it. And the minute I'm out of there, I'm like, I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
It's just,
I'm gonna leave here and go back to work, and they're gonna be like, Whitney who? And I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that's right.
I would say there's always the next benchmark. Yeah. Well, so like for me, like getting into professional studio, then I got that. Then it's like, oh, getting like a named character, that was the next one. And then it was like, oh, getting on like a like Smite was a benchmark. That's like millions of players for that game. Like that was a benchmark. Going to conventions is a benchmark.
That's true. That's true.
One gig does not a career make, is my philosophy behind it, and it's also whatever your actual goal is as an actor. For me, I don't think I'll ever be fully fulfilled because I'm always trying to make something beautiful and awesome. And you know, sometimes we hit a 8 out of 10. Sometimes it feels 10 out of 10. But there's always something to pursue. And yeah.
It's kind of like reaching adulthood. Like when you're a kid, you think there's going to be a really obvious threshold that you cross, and you're like, oh, I'm a grown-up now. And then it's not so much that you cross it, it's that you realize 10 years later, oh, I crossed it. I've been an adult this whole time.
I know.
Yeah,
no.
I still need an adult.
That's
the calls coming from inside the
with
house.
Success in this business. You're like, oh, I guess I have done stuff.
Right.
You know, it hits you later, and so you don't really enjoy it when it happens because you're not. You know, you're just kind of focused on the work and paying your bills and you know, having fun with it if you can, but it's not like, today I became an actor.
Yeah, whatever that made it is. That's,
right.
yeah.
I wish it happened, but like then when
Do you? If you made it, then you'd be done.
What do you do?
I think
Like,
that's the
after
deal.
it's
If
like,
I made it, then I'm like,
I
all
don't
right.
want to get to that point because then I
Like
wouldn't
you don't
know.
have to pass on the Dread Pirates Robert torch to someone else.
Right.
Like, oh, the revenge is over with.
There's that phrase that you're only as good as your last job, and I hate that phrase, and I can't get it out of my head, and I actively work on that because you're not only as good as your last job, you should always be aspiring to grow. So if you're aspiring to do that, don't focus on that like I did for the past several years. You're not only as good as your last job, just keep making yourself
it's the job
happy.
before that.
Yeah.
You're really, it's also horrifying that you're only as good as your next job. Oh no!
Oh
So
no!
it's just weird.
Can't put that.
You just have to be like kind of zen and present and be like, cool. I'm just doing this job and it's really cool and
Work on your
and
zen.
work on just being in the moment and not necessarily setting goals for yourself with
Right here in
regards
the
to
room.
like so. Good. That was a good question.
That was a really good question.
Yeah,
Think of
that was a great last question. Thank you everybody for joining our panel.
Guys.